Hi, it's Nikki here from Happy Hormones for Life. Today I am talking about protein and how eating more of it can actually help you with that midlife weight gain and healthy aging in general. Now, if you're going through midlife or you're navigating the menopause journey, chances are you're not getting enough protein, and that's a bigger deal than you might think. Because as estrogen and progesterone levels drop, you're not just dealing with symptoms like weight gain, fatigue, mood swings, and all the rest. Your body's also facing challenges with absorbing and holding on to protein. And that can have lots of consequences that I'll talk about in a second. The good news is, though, that by upping your protein intake, you can tackle many of these issues and also increase your health as you get older. So what are we talking about? What are the health benefits of having protein in your diet? First of all, your muscles. So as we age, naturally our muscle mass declines. Probably it's about 3 to 8% per decade, but especially it speeds up through menopause. And protein helps counteract this by providing the amino acids you need to preserve and build lean muscle tissue. Secondly, it helps with your weight. So protein is a big helper for midlife weight gain. And there's three reasons for that. Firstly, it has a high satiety value. So that means that it keeps you full for longer, which means you don't overeat, it regulates your appetite, and you are going to be less hungry between meals. Secondly, it can boost your metabolism. So protein has a higher thermic effect compared to carbohydrates and fats. That means it requires more energy from your body to digest and metabolize it, which means it burns more calories just by eating it. And thirdly, it can help regulate your appetite by reducing your hunger hormone ghrelin, and it increases a protein called peptide PYY, that makes you feel full. So protein helps that whole balance. Thirdly, blood sugar regulation. So protein-rich foods help stabilize your blood sugar levels. They do that by slowing down the absorption of glucose from foods into the bloodstream. So that can prevent these blood sugar spikes, that whole roller coaster that we can be on all day long, and those crashes too, which cause low energy, grumpiness, fogginess, and weight gain. Because if you're constantly having blood sugar lows and highs, your body's in fat storing mode. Protein also helps with insulin sensitivity. So as we get older and we go through menopause, we're more at risk of something called insulin resistance, which means that there's more insulin running around the body. It's not doing its job properly. And with that comes the added risk of inflammation and metabolic disorders like diabetes. So protein helps with that. It also helps with your bone health. So there's this common misconception that it's just calcium and vitamin D that we need to protect your bones. But actually, protein makes up a really big part of bone composition, and it has a role in bone metabolism as well. So particularly crucial, obviously, for postmenopausal women who are at higher risk of osteoporosis. Protein also helps your heart. So particularly plant-based sources like legumes and nuts and seeds, they can help with your heart health by providing essential nutrients, fiber, healthy fats, antioxidants, which can help maintain healthy cholesterol levels and reduce the risk of heart disease. Protein can help with your mood and your mental well-being as well. Amino acids support the production of neurotransmitters in the brain, like serotonin and dopamine, and that they play a crucial role in mood regulation. And lastly, protein can help produce antibodies, enzymes, and immune system cells. So really strengthening the body's immune system and defenses, reducing the risk of things like illnesses and infections. So protein has all these health benefits. So how much do we need? Well, there's a massive debate amongst pretty much everyone about how much protein we need. And it varies, of course, based on things like your individual health, your activity levels, your own muscle mass. NHS guidelines are pretty low. They say women should be aiming for about 45 grams a day. Other recommendations suggest about 0.8 kilos per kilogram of body weight. So if you, for instance, weigh 70 kilos, which is around 11 stone, you would need approximately 56 grams per day. So that's 70 kilos times 0.8. So again, that's, slightly higher than the guidelines, but some experts think we need a lot more, especially if we're going through and past beyond menopause, or if you're particularly physically active, or you have specific health conditions. There was a study done over a 20-year period where they found that people who ate at least 90 grams a day had higher scores in things like grip strength, climbing stairs, and even walking just half a mile. And what's interesting in this study is that women seem to benefit the most, making it clear that getting enough protein could be a real game changer for women looking to stay strong as they age. There are other experts out there that think even more than 90 grams is what you're aiming for. People like Dr. Gabrielle Lyon-Cronstedt and others recommend 1 gram per pound of body weight. So in that woman who weighed 11 stone, that would mean a daily requirement of 154 grams. So actually, so you can see how much the experts can't agree on this. And it's actually quite hard to consume an awful lot of protein in a day. And also you've got to be aware of, if you're consuming that much protein, how many calories you're consuming as well. And obviously we don't want to look at calories as such, but it does count if you're eating too much food. Also, if too much protein can actually put a strain on your kidneys as well, because they have to work hard to filter waste products like urea and ammonia. Generally, that isn't a concern for most people with healthy kidneys, but if you have kidney issues, then you've got to be a bit cautious about consuming high amounts of protein. So in between that vast range, what are we trying to do? I think if you try to, if you're aware of your protein in your diet and you're trying to eat some protein at each meal, that's where we're going to have to focus and really try and increase that protein and maybe swap out some of the refined carbs or something else that maybe we can swap protein in with. So let me give you an example of kind of typical protein contents of certain foods. So one egg, a medium egg, for example, is about 7 or 8 grams. So if you're having a couple of eggs in the morning, so that would be 15 grams, something like that. And then if you add in some bacon, like a slice of bacon would be around 6 maybe grams, something like that. Or you can have some smoked salmon, a couple of slices of that, and then you're sort of getting up to around, we really want to be aiming for like 20 to 30 grams pretty much per meal if we can. It's like a chicken breast would have around 30 grams. We've got a beef, 100 grams of beef, which would typically be like a burger size, if you like, would be around 26 grams. Salmon fillet would be around 30 grams. A tin of tuna, for example, would be 22 grams. And then you've got the vegetarian options. You've got a cup of tofu would be 30 grams. Almonds and nuts in general are quite good. So a handful of almonds would be around 6 grams. A tablespoon of peanut butter is 7 grams. A cup of quinoa would be 16 grams. Quinoa is very good. Even your veggies have some protein in them, so don't worry about that. A cup of broccoli would be 2.5 grams. Half a cup of chickpeas would be 8 grams. A cup of lentils, really good source as well, 18 grams in a cup of lentils. And beans are a fantastic source of protein. You've got 15 grams in a cup of pinto beans. So they would be similar to the baked beans that you get in tins. Yogurt, dairy as well, good source. So a pot of Greek dairy yogurt which would be about 150 grams, would be around 14 grams of protein. In contrast, you've got a pot of plain soy yogurt would be around 9 grams. So that's a good alternative. And then 100 grams of Parmesan, for instance, would be 35 grams. So that's quite a lot of protein for your buck there. A tablespoon of chia seeds would be about 3 grams. And of course, if you're struggling with those kind of foods, then I'd really recommend you get a protein powder. You can have a plant-based or a whey protein and make a protein smoothie, and you'd probably get around 20 grams with that. So if you had a couple of eggs and then a protein smoothie, that would be an amazing protein for breakfast. So ideas for breakfast, you've got that protein smoothie. Other ideas would be, like I mentioned, 2 eggs with 2 pieces of like free-range bacon or smoked salmon on whole grain toast would get you up to around 20-25, something like that. You could have a 3-egg omelette with cheese, ham, broccoli, a sprinkling of seeds. That would definitely get you up to around 30 grams. You could have a full-fat natural yogurt. Greek yogurt seems to have more protein in it, with berries, nuts and seeds, or you can make a whole, if you've got a homemade granola or a low sugar granola. So that would be an example of a really protein rich breakfast. Obviously add in as much veg as you can where possible, because we want those plant nutrients. Spinach, kale, cabbage, broccoli, mushrooms, tomatoes, all really good options to add in with your eggs as well. You're getting all that extra fiber and those plant nutrients. Now, individual needs are obviously going to vary, so it is quite a confusing thing, but go with your gut and go with what feels like you can, like is achievable for your lifestyle as well. But do contact us if you'd like any support with this. Hope that was helpful. See you next time.